Good morning, ASEAN. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. I'm Patsurang Desha Putharangsi.
And I'm Weena Jongprasit. It's Wednesday, the 19th of June. Kun Patsurang, let's first start with Thailand, looking at the RISE pledging scheme as the Yingluck Shinawatra government has given to heavy criticism over the huge 130 billion baht loss incurred through the RISE pledging scheme, agreeing to reduce the minimum price from 15,000 baht per ton to just 12,000 baht. Payment for rice will be reduced from the end of this month until the end of the current crop season in late September, Commerce Ministry Bunsong Tiriyapinom said yesterday as chairman of the National Rice Policy Committee, or NRPC. But the scheme would continue with the rate readjusted for the crop for the next crop beginning in November, he said. The government intended to keep the scheme going in line with improved fiscal discipline from now until 2017. Bunsong said the government planned to outlay 100 billion baht each year from now until then to fund the rice scheme, but he did not specify when asked if the 100 billion baht was a subsidy or a loss. The final figure and time frame for the new lower rate came in the evening after hours of discussions among senior government figures and NRPC members. The decision looks likely to be endorsed by the cabinet at its meeting next Tuesday, so it takes immediate effect. A crucial joint meeting between the Finance and Commerce Ministries on Monday night reached an initial conclusion that the lower rates should vary between 13,500 baht and 12,000 baht, a cut of 10 to 20% respectively, but this was not submitted to Cabinet for consideration earlier yesterday.
Moving on to Indonesia, as President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono just yesterday defended his government's plan to hike fuel prices for the first time since 2008, a day after police battled demonstrators outside parliament. So thousands protesting the plan to reduce fuel subsidies battled with police firing tear gas and water cannon Monday as lawmakers approved measures paving the way to lower the payouts in Southeast Asia's top economy. But Yudhoyono insisted escalating public anger at an expected price increase of more than 30% would not deter his government from pushing through the sorely needed measure. He said during a speech in Jakarta that his government wants to protect the Indonesian macroeconomy. It is important and it concerns them all. Yudhoyono is expected to announce a hike in the coming days after Parliament voted through a revised budget, also insisted that the government was being forced into hiking fuel prices to cope with rising crude oil prices. Economists have long been calling for Indonesia to reduce the subsidies, which eat up a huge chunk of the budget and are blamed for a widening current account deficit. But the government has in the past backed down in the face of public anger. Several hundred protested in front of the office of state energy firm Pertamina in Medan on Sumatra Island, while small groups of demonstrators set tires alight and blocked roads in other cities. Well, Jakarta was quiet, though. Meanwhile, reports started emerging that people were stockpiling subsidized fuel in anticipation of a price hike. So police in West Java and Lampung provinces seized thousands of liters of fuel that people had allegedly been hoarding, while Pertamina said sales had increased 3 to 4% in recent days.
And regarding the latest fires in Sumatra, Indonesia, the Singaporean government has asked Indonesia to name the errant companies involved in the illegal burning. The primary responsibility to take legal and enforcement actions against these companies lie with Indonesia, as they have clearly violated Indonesian laws within Indonesian jurisdiction. This was highlighted in a joint statement by the Foreign Affairs Ministry and Ministry of Environment and Water Resources. Earlier, Foreign Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam and Minister for Environment and Water Resources Vivian Balakrishnan have spoken to their Indonesian counterparts. Indonesian Minister for Foreign Affairs Marty Natalegawa and Indonesian Environment Minister Baltasar Kambuaya to register Singapore's strong concerns about the worsening haze situation. The two ministers highlighted that Singapore's PSI had breached 150 on Monday and had entered the unhealthy zone. The Singaporean ministers emphasized the urgency of the situation while also reaffirming Singapore's commitment to help Indonesia fight the fires in Sumatra. Balakrishnan requested that Indonesia share relevant information to improve monitoring of hotspots and land clearing activities. This had been agreed between Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand in October 2012. Both Shanmugam and Balakrishna referred to the claim by an Indonesian Forestry Ministry official in the media that Malaysia and Singapore palm oil companies that had invested in Indonesia may be responsible for starting the fires in Rua. They asked Indonesia to share the names of errant companies involved in the illegal burning.
So, Karina, one of the consequences from this preventive measures against the haze in Singapore is that sales of the facial masks and air purifiers have increased.
Yeah, it really shows the seriousness of this situation, Kun Pasuran.
Yep. So moving on to Myanmar, as the country has temporarily stopped sending workers to Malaysia due to safety concerns following violence involving its citizens there. The 11 media in Myanmar reported that the Federation of Overseas Employment Agencies had last week instructed overseas employment companies not to send any more workers to Malaysia. So the current violence there has forced the Myanmarese government to do so. They got reports that the situation there has calmed down now, though, but the move would be momentary to do so. But they can't say when it will restart yet. They will also have to discuss with the government delegation arrived back from Malaysia. So according to E. Monso, a director from the Myanmar's Labor Ministry, several labor supply companies there also confirmed that Myanmar workers were not being sent over since last week. So LLN Group of Companies Managing Director Ngat Cheng Ho said 2 Myanmar workers were supposed to arrive this week, but this has been delayed, although all the relevant documents have been submitted and approved. So there are estimated 300,000 Myanmar workers in Malaysia, legal and illegal, and another 100,000 refugees from Myanmar. So Myanmar nationals are legally allowed to work in the manufacturing, plantation, agriculture, construction, and services sectors there.
Myanmar Focus Daily will bring you to an interview with Standard Chartered Bank, which is the first bank to actually open its representative office in Myanmar. They will talk about the challenges of doing its business there.
For today, Myanmar Focus Daily continues with a special interview with the President and CEO of Standard Chartered Bank Thai on the challenges the bank is facing in being present in Myanmar.
Well, first of all, there's no regulation that allows us to be established, so that would be the first major hurdle, right? So we need the regulations to be issued that will enable us to actually have a branch, a subsidiary, or rather what I would say a banking presence in the country. So that's the first big challenge. I think the second challenge is that the market at the moment is, rather basic. It's still very much a cash-based society. And from what I understand, the reason why it's cash-based is that there's not a lot of trust in banks in general. So I would say it's just not an international bank's challenge, it's actually the industry's challenge. It's how do we get the sort of customers and companies to have more trust in the banking system, because it's only with customers that you're going to be able to facilitate the growth of the industry. So I think that would be the second challenge. And then the third challenge is just building product knowledge, building the systems, payment systems, foreign exchange systems, trading systems, settlement systems, so an infrastructure framework policy that enables, I guess, a efficient relationship, I guess, to take place. And it's just not what you do in the immediate sense, but also how you resolve if there's conflict or if there's a problem that occurs, the rights and all of that. So some of the rule of law probably needs to be more developed in order, for the banking industry to be more efficient and to grow.
And what about the human resources? Are the people of Myanmar ready for all the new regulatory framework in the banking systems?
Yeah, in terms of skill sets, I mean, obviously because there hasn't been a very mature banking sector, there will be, quite a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of building the skill sets, in terms of capacity building. We understand that there are a number of, people that may be outside of Myanmar that possibly could be attracted to return to Myanmar. So that's obviously one source of employee staffing, for the banks. And the other would be you just have to invest more in training and development, and to give people the skill sets to take you to the level that you want them to go.
The local business, how can Myanmar business complement the Standard Chartered operation?
So in terms of the local businesses, we're more focusing on the local banks, which generally would facilitate and be the enabler for local businesses to get funding, to get products, to get services. So our first focus is really working with the local banks, and also government in terms of building infrastructure for some of these companies. So for example, we know that the Myanmar Central Bank is very keen to set up a credit bureau. And the credit bureau is very important because with a good credit bureau, consumers can then get loans because the banks have a way to get credit information and make good credit decisions, and thereby opening up the market. We also know that the government is looking at perhaps setting up a credit guarantee company, and this is an area where, for us, we can also be assisting. So when you say companies, we're not directly assisting the companies, but through the indirect work that we're doing with local banks, but also with government, I think at the end of the day would facilitate these local companies to be getting some of the services that they may be looking for.
Okay, one last question. What will be your suggestions for the government, for Myanmar government, in terms of liberalizing the banking systems of the country?
Well, I think they've got to pace it. I think they are doing the right thing, which is sort of making sure that whatever they're doing in terms of liberalizing that sector is sustainable. And so I think that's very important. And I would also say that as they liberalize the sector, consistency of policy is important, which means that you have to think quite hard at the beginning, what's the end state that you want to be going to, and the path in which that you want to take. I would also say that as they liberalize the sector, just ensuring that the foreign players that come in, and I would put somebody like Standard Chartered, are really committed to the country, that will be willing to work with the industry, with the country, to develop the sector, in the best way for the country and for the industry, and not necessarily for the players. Now, it needs to be win-win, of course, because you can't be doing one and having the other sacrifice. But these are, a long-term journey, and I think the government needs to make sure that that they've got good players that have come in that will be here for the long run, and in our case, we say here for good.
Vietnam's President Sang's visit to China is to lift the Vietnam-China's relations. After the break. Stay tuned for abundant business and investment opportunities in the land of charm, Cambodia, from Monday 24th to Friday 28th of June in Good Morning ASEAN, 7:30 to 8 a.m. and ASEAN Business Report at 9 to 10 p.m. Vietnam's President Trong Thanh Son will pay a state-level visit to China from today to June 21st at the invitation of General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and President Xi Jinping. This will be the first ever visit made by President Sang as head of state and the first state-level visit by a high-ranking Vietnamese leader to China since its change of leadership. The president's visit aims to affirm the consistent policy of the Vietnamese party and state in the relationship with the party and state of China. So as close neighboring countries, the friendship and cooperation between Vietnam and China has developed intensively and extensively in all fields, bringing practical benefits to both sides. So the two nations have to date signed a host of government-level agreements and cooperative documents creating a legal foundation for their long-term cooperation. Bilateral trade turnover in the first 4 months of this year exceeded $14.3 billion, of which Vietnam shipped nearly $3.9 billion worth of goods to China and imported over $10.4 billion. So the two countries are making all-out efforts to realize their bilateral trade target of $60 billion by the Asean Economic Community year 2015. But anyway, by the end of March this year, China had invested in 899 projects in Vietnam with $4.7 billion in total registered capital, ranking 13 out of 94 countries and territories investing in Vietnam. China has so far given $1.6 billion in preferential loans to Vietnam, focusing on industry, mining, railway, energy, garments and textiles, and chemicals. Apart from preferential loans, the Chinese government has also provided Vietnam with non-refundable aid.
In ASEAN Go Green, the Metropolitan Electricity Authority has invited buildings to come and try to save energy.
In the wake of energy crisis, renewable energy seems to be the answer. But wouldn't it be better if we start with our own by reducing our own energy consumption? And that's why the Metropolitan Electricity Authority raised this awareness, starting with industries and factories, on how to reduce their energy consumption with this project called the MEA Energy Saving Building. The project is initiated by the Metropolitan Energy Authority Thailand or MEA and operated by the King Mongkut's University of Technology Thonburi or KMUTT. It aims to promote energy savings activities by encouraging organizations, factories and industries to convert their buildings to become more energy efficient and environmentally friendly.
This project will not mainly on installation of the equipment. The first phase of the project try to use the existing energy situation and evaluate it. If the building use the energy efficiency, they will get the reward. That is the first phase. The second phase, the building have to improve something. Depend on the building that what they want to improve. The project will evaluate it, and if the building can save much energy, the project will give them another reward. The existing building have to improve something to improve their energy efficiency, but they don't want to knock all the building down. Just modify something or install new equipment to make it more efficient.
Despite being electricity distributor and seller, MEA is trying to convince more organizations to participate in this project. Participants will not only save their energy costs, but they sustain energy in the long term. Right now, participants are mostly hypermarkets and hospitals.
We try to convince those business to reduce those power uses during the daytime or even the nighttime. On the process of the reducing the energy for the usage, the investment that the customer gonna pay is belong to customer itself. The thing is that what they're gonna benefit from us. The first benefit is that the usage or expense that they're gonna pay for the electricity bill was reduced. The second thing is the energy that they try to reduce it's a long run usage. That means in the near future or even in the far future, they can expand those products or expand their business with the same amount of money that they already paid for the electricity bill. That thing is the main target that we try to do. Right now, this one is just the first step. Try to scatter all of the businesses. And the second step is that what is the difference after they invest or change any kind of appliance or even the scheduling of the power in their own business. And that amount, we use that amount of reduction to be contestable with other kind of business. Which business is got a maximum or even set up past our index that we reduce those kind of energy so that business will get the reward.
In the future, this project will expand to other types of buildings. Next year, the project plans to target office buildings and hotels.
Meet us again in Good Morning ASEAN. Same time, same place, same channel.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Weena Jongprasit.
And I'm Patsurang Desha Putrang Si. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ